Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Champions Mind MMA. Today, I want to talk about UFC Fight Night 212. Alexa Grasso from Mexico versus Viviane Araujo from Brazil. It was a great fight night. There were some great finishes. Um, but before I go any further, guys, please subscribe to the channel, and also at the end of the video, go to the comment section and share your thoughts on everything we'll be talking about today. Now, I want to take a moment before I do anything. I want to take a moment to add my voice to those of millions of Haitians around the globe who are mourning the passing of um, of Michael Benjamin Mikaben. He was a great Haitian artist who thrilled the heart, of every one of us with so many great pieces over the years throughout his musical career. I mean, his death was sudden, and his life seemed so short. But for sure, his the memory of his life and that of his illustrious career will stay with us forever. Right now, my thoughts and prayers are with his friends and family, and rest in peace, Mikaben. So, guys, let's go ahead and let's talk about UFC Fight Night 212, Alexa Grasso versus Viviane Araujo. So there was a couple of veterans, on the fight card. Um, there was Rafael Sansao. He looked pretty good, throughout his fight. He won by decision, and during the post fight press, not press conference, during the post fight interview, he mentioned a desire to retire soon. Obviously, he's thinking of retirement. He didn't make an announcement of his retirement, but he said that may be coming soon. But frankly, I mean, I think he looked good enough to where I personally believe that he may have, a few more fights, under his belt, and also I mean, that is the same case for his fellow Brazilian fighter, Glover Teixeira, who is about to fight for the light heavyweight title soon at UFC 282. I mean, he is 42 years old, and he actually won the belt at 40 years of age, and he just lost it, in his title defense, against Jiri Prochazka. He just recently lost the belt, and now he's about to rematch Prochazka for the title. And the other veteran on the card was Cobb Swanson. He lost by TKO. I mean, he made a move to 135, change weight class, to kind of change things. But obviously, it was a loss for him, via TKO. That kid, Martinez. I mean, he was throwing those devastating leg kicks. I mean, thunderous leg kicks throughout the fight. And eventually, I guess, Cobb Swanson couldn't take any more. So it was a TKO for Martinez. But to be fair, I mean, until then, I think Cobb Swanson looked pretty good throughout the fight. I mean, Martinez was getting the better of the exchanges, but I think Cobb Swanson looked good enough. I think he probably still have a couple of more fights under his belt. I think next time he fights, maybe he needs to face someone who is, in a similar stage, at their careers, when he fights next. But anyway, so in the mini event, so we have in the mini event we had Alexa Grasso versus Viviane Araujo. That was a very technical fight, very competitive fight. Both girls looked really good. I think the key was Alexa Grasso was more able to implement her game than Viviane Araujo was. So basically, Viviane Araujo wanted the fight to go to the ground, but Alexa Grasso's takedown defense was on point last night, and Viviane Araujo was able to take her down only a couple of times and couldn't even keep her down for long. So of course, on the feet, it was obvious that Alexa Grasso was the better of the two in the striking department, And also I think her speed was a key element too. I mean, her speed was gives Viviane Araujo a lot of problems. But I mean, no shame for Viviane Araujo. I mean, she fought well, and obviously she lost to somebody like Alexa Grasso. No shame to that. Um, but indulge me for a moment as I play matchmaker for those two ladies. Okay, so for um, for Alexa Grasso, I think next, because I don't believe she deserves a title fight quite yet. And in a moment, I'm gonna share with you guys who I think deserves a title shot. But for now, I think Alexa Grasso should fight Jessica Andrade, and obviously, if she wins, then she will be next for the title. And as far as Viviane Araujo, I would love to see her fight Lauren Murphy next. Now, um, the person I think deserves the next title shot right now at the women flyweight division in the UFC would be Taila Santos. Taila Santos actually deserves a rematch with the current champion Valentina Shevchenko. Now, the last fight those two ladies fought, the decision was quite controversial. But before I say anything, guys, let me say this. I have nothing whatsoever against Valentina Shevchenko. As a matter of fact, I love Valentina Shevchenko. I think she's a great fighter. She is one of the best, not just in MMA, but in not just in women MMA, but in MMA in general. She's a great fighter. I mean, her skills is at the top level. So I have nothing but great things to say about her. However, I saw her doing an interview with Ariel Helwani, and her fight, have questions surrounding her fight with Taila Santos, her last fight with Taila Santos, came up. And one thing they talk about was the headbutt, the headbutt. So her answer was, well, it was accidental, and it could be, it could affect either one of us, which I agree with both statements. It was accidental, and it could have affected either one of them. However, that night it affected Taila Santos. So in cases like that, and cases like this, that fight could have been stopped, and it could have been probably less likely scenario be a no contest, but most likely they would have scored the fight at that point if they had stopped it. And if they scored that fight, they could have scored it because they had already fought for more than 3 rounds. And if they scored the fight at that point, Taila Santos would have been the clear winner. But they let them fight. They let them fight after the headbutt. And what happened is, when the headbutt happened, after that, the momentum shifted completely toward Valentina Shevchenko. So she took over, and she clearly won round 4 and 5. But when the result was read, the judges gave a split decision to Valentina Shevchenko. Now, for those of us, for those of us in the community watching the fight, we saw it, and that includes me, guys. We saw the decision should have gone. We believe the decision should have gone to Taila Santos. We believe Taila Santos had done enough, despite, in spite of the headbutt, she had done enough that she should have earned the decision instead of Valentina Shevchenko. But it doesn't matter. We are not judges. The judges gave it to Valentina Shevchenko. Now, the thing that bothers me is because there was a question to Valentina Shevchenko about a rematch between her and Taila Santos. She didn't want to rematch her. So I think that didn't sit well with me. Because let's take the fight we just talked about earlier. Jiri Prochazka versus Glover Teixeira. Now, Jiri Prochazka is about to rematch Glover Teixeira for the light heavyweight title. I don't believe the UFC forced Jiri Prochazka to take that fight. I believe he took it upon himself to rematch Glover Teixeira, because during the fight, those of us who were watching the fight could see that there were several times that we believed that Glover Teixeira was gonna win the fight, and I actually believe that Glover Teixeira's own instinct failed him, because he respected the striking of Jiri Prochazka, and then he also trusted his ground game a lot. So every time he hurt Jiri Prochazka, he would quickly go try to get the fight to the ground, and eventually Glover Teixeira, toward the end of the fight, get too tired, and Jiri Prochazka submitted him. But Jiri Prochazka knows, and we all know, that it's very unlikely that Jiri Prochazka could win a fight on the ground against Glover Teixeira. But when we were exhausted, anything can happen. And because he believes that, he sees the way the fight had played, even though he won by submission. Because when you win by submission, it's final. I mean, there's no question, there's no controversy. You won by submission. That's final, okay? But he wants to show us, to show us all the MMA community. He wants to show us that he is really the person, the person we believe he was supposed to be when he came into the UFC. All the hype he had, behind him, because he came into the UFC very hot with a lot of hype, behind him, that he was so good. And then, doing the title fight with Glover Teixeira, he almost lost. So he wants to prove that he was the rightful winner, that it was not a fluke, it was not an accident, that he can win the fight. And I love this kind of attitude. I appreciate that. I respect Prochazka for that. But as far as Valentina Shevchenko goes, she said she didn't want to rematch Taila Santos right away. Why wouldn't you want to rematch? Why wouldn't you want to rematch her right away, when everybody thinks she actually won the last fight, and there was a whole controversy, about the headbutt and all this, and all this. Why don't you want to come back and show us that you are actually better than Taila Santos? That you should be the one asking for the rematch. You should be chomping at the bit. They shouldn't be like asking you, or other people should be talking about it. The UFC should force you. You should come in and say, hey, I want to rematch this girl. I want to show everybody that I'm better than this girl, and I'm going to show it in our next fight. But now she's saying that I don't want to rematch her next. So for somebody like me, and I'm sure for a lot of people, on the outside watching, we're like, okay, I understand. She don't want her stock to go down. She don't want to go take the chance to fight Taila Santos, because if she loses, she would lose leverage to get the fight she wants against Amanda Nunes. So instead, she wants to either try to wiggle her way, with the UFC brass, and get a fight with Amanda Nunes. In the meantime, Taila Santos maybe lose to somebody else, or at least, or if she cannot get Amanda Nunes, then she can fight one of the other girls, maybe one of those she already beat, and at least she would get another title defenses under her belt. And then at that point, she will have no choice but to rematch, Santos. And if she loses at that point, and she'll be like, okay, well, I mean, I've been doing this for a long time. I've had so many, there's so many wins under my belt. Well, it was my day, it was my time, and then it's okay. So I don't like that. I think Taila Santos deserves a rematch, and I would be very, very disappointed. I believe a lot of people would be disappointed if UFC didn't give Taila Santos a rematch. So guys, so that's what I think. And please, once again, go to the comment section below. Let me know if you agree with my matchmaking there for Alexa Grasso and Viviane Araujo. And also, do you agree with me that Taila Santos deserves an immediate rematch against Valentina Shevchenko? Now, guys, you may be hearing some noise. This is my boys talking over there, in the video. But again, it was always a pleasure talking to you guys, and I can't wait to come back. There's so much that I want to share with you. There's so many great fight cards coming up. So until I see you again, peace out.